And we're live. What's happening, guys? It's Sunday night. Woo-wee. How are we doing tonight? We got anybody in the house yet? Or am I sitting here just talking to myself? Oh, no, we got plenty of it. What's happening? Scoop, Matthew Ward, what's happening? Andrea Alvarez, Wayne Buzzle, Mexican Spec is in the house. How you guys doing? Operation Northwoods. I know about that one. Stuck wheel. Hang on. What was that now? Uncle Tony, seeing that stuck wheel makes me recall my hometown gearhead, Big Daddy Don. What's stuck wheel? Okay, slick wheel. What's slick wheel? What's slick wheel? We'll get back to you. Operation Northwoods. Everybody, that was a conspiracy too, right? Oh, please, let's not even go there. Let's see. KJ Kylie Spark, what's happening? Patrick KC, what's he running in the slingshot screen cap? That was a dragster I had for a little while. That's a 1967 Woody Gilmer Flexi Flyer, and that was the Hemi that I had in my Roadrunner, and I pulled that out of the Roadrunner and stuck it in the dragster with a set of injectors, and I never got it to run right. That was like a big, huge learning experience for me. You know how I know so much stuff? You know how I came to know those things? I messed up, and that car was a big learning experience. I got a lot of things wrong with it. So that was the Hemi that was in my '68 Roadrunner, and I stuck it in that dragster with a pair of Hill 1 injectors and tried to run it on gasoline, and just one problem after another. I built my own shorty torque flight because I had no money to actually buy a torque flight, so I made my own shorty torque flight, and every time I tried to make a run on that car, I ended up fire suit drenched in transmission fluid. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But that's how you learn. That's how you learn. Uncut Chode M9. I was impressed by the LAB shirt. I had no idea you were a fan. Dude, I'm like, I watch at least one or two of his videos every night. It's like a routine. I can't call it a night without catching a couple of LAB's videos. He's absolutely awesome. I don't just wear anybody's shirt, you know. Patrick is saying it taught you a lot in the best way. It taught me a lot. Very painful, very like frustrating learning experiences. But yeah, I actually did learn a lot. The things I learned with that car transferred over to, like when I went into the nitro world. The stuff that I learned from that car applied, a lot. So, sweaty fat guy, what's happening, man? Jack Daniels. I have a van from 1988 Dodge Ram van, Chrysler 59360, 3500 carbureted. All I want to do is own old cars now to drive. I believe you're saying that what you have is an 88 Ram 3500 with a 360 and you only want to work on old cars now. And I can relate to that. I only want to work on old cars and old motorcycles. Older is better, for sure. John Q. Public, Uncle Tony's Garage. How big of a wet shot of nitrous can I relatively safely give my 94 XLT with a 302 Windsor bottom end with 210,000 miles? You probably go to 150 shot because with that 210, see that high mileage is acting in your favor. High mileage means you've got ring wear and you've got cylinder wear, bore wear. Not a lot of bore wear, probably mostly ring wear. And what that does is that opens up the gap on the rings, because as things wear, the gap gets bigger. And that's your biggest liability with running nitrous on just about anything. As the heat gets to the top ring expands, it closes up the gap, and then it buckles and it breaks the piston. That's the most common damage you're going to have with a stock engine with 150, 200 shots like that. So, oh my God, it's cinnamon bananas.
Kathy.
Well, see, your street name. We're going by your street name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
That's it. You're not gonna.
That's it.
Why don't you pull up a seat? Answer some questions.
You answer the question.
They love you though. Every time you come in here, they're like, "It's Kathy.
It's me. Hi,
What
everyone.
happened to your finger?
What? I cut it.
Oh my God.
It's a Band-Aid.
You okay? You didn't bleed out?
No.
Did you
They
surgery?
didn't post it on Facebook either.
You didn't.
No. I didn't. No.
But you did post those pictures of your feet.
No, I did not.
No?
Never.
Oh, it was everybody else. It was everybody else. Right. I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay.
Not me. No.
No, not cinnamon bananas. Yeah, they're all saying hi. They're all saying hi to you.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah. So John Q. Public, yeah, I would say you can run a 150 shot on that. Pretty. What, babe?
You're not using your mic. Can I hear you?
I guess I can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Can, hello? Hello?
Okay.
I think they can hear me.
It's not as good without your mic.
Oh, they just like that you're coming back. Love you.
Hi, everybody.
Tim Squire says, hi, Mrs. Bananas.
Hello.
Um,
Hello, hello. Hang on, wait.
Fubar is saying hello. And I didn't even say hello to Fubar. Hello, Fubar. Because I didn't see him come in.
Hi, Fubar.
Oscar Gonzalez saying, did I visit In-N-Out last Wednesday? I did. I actually did. I went there afterwards. And it was a mistake. It was a mistake.
Wasn't good?
It was okay. It just wasn't the right thing to eat
I have to fix the mic.
at
Hang on.
night like that.
Give me 1 second.
All right.
Oh, you.
This is that magic that happens behind the scenes.
It's not. Like right behind the scenes.
I'm going around with one of the scenes.
All right, now it's.
There you go.
Is that better?
Oh, much. Okay. Okay, let me scroll up back up here. Driveway of Misfits, you can't hear a word, but you can now, man. So yeah, I did. I hit In-N-Out. I like In-N-Out. It's good, but it's not the thing to eat at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, right before you go to sleep. It doesn't make for a restful sleep. You know? Let's see. Scrolling here. Richard Hayes, what's happening, bro? Joker, how come Kathy doesn't participate in Sunday Night anymore? Because you don't believe it or not, she's just not into it. It's like, this isn't for everybody, and it's just not for her. She just, she does it occasionally, but she's always like, "That's really draining." And I'm like, "Yes, I get it. I understand." Not everybody like is just dying to sit in front of a camera or do this sort of thing, and she's one of them. Let's see. John Bossoms. Tony, why do you think GM focused on the short deck big blocks for the big horsepower engines while Chrysler focused more on the tall deck big block engines? Different approaches completely. I mean, it's the basic architecture that those engines were built off of. So it was like, so Chrysler was building big blocks. They weren't even big blocks really at the time. They were building the wedge engines. And they were built off of that tall deck architecture because that was the signature power profile that they were looking for. Okay, the torquey but long rod, flexible sort of engine. Chevy, they built their big blocks around their old W motors, the 348s and the 409s, which were truck motors, and they were supposed to be just torque, right? Relatively long stroke, short rod torque motors. So that was just the foundation of the engines that they began with, and then evolution just stayed along those lines. As it turns out, Chevy was right. Their combination worked out better overall than Chrysler's. Drag Boss just finished his live. I didn't know he was having a live. He had the NHR and IHR representative was the guest. Interesting. I haven't really paid much attention to all of that. I know I should, but I just haven't. I'm just not that interested. I kind of put drag racing business and drag racing politics and that sort of thing is all like it just doesn't register for me anymore. Let's see. Let me scroll back up here. Cop Car Steve, what's happening, Cop Car Steve? He wants to know if anyone has ever blocked off the heat crossover on an 85 302 with a 4160. You could. It would be just, I mean, yeah, that's a good candidate to block the crossover with. Rocco says, I got to hire a new ring girl. Shannon, what's happening? Shannon, 78 Monte Corolla. Mad Mac, blasphemy, thinking of trading my 97 Dakota for a 71 Comet. No joke. The 97 Dakotas are nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, okay? But it's not a tremendously characterful vehicle. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not the kind of thing that when you park it in you go to the supermarket and you park it, you don't turn around and look at it as you walk away. You know what I mean? It's just a Dakota. It's just a regular 97 Dakota. A 71 Comet, I mean, yeah, it's a true classic, and it doesn't blend in with everything else. So I could see, even being a Mopar guy, I could see if I had to flip a coin and pick like which one do I want for like a cool daily or something like that. I'd take the Comet too. Let's see. John Q. Public, 83 Ford Fairmont, the poor man's Fox body with a Lincoln Mark 7. I prefer the Fairmonts. I mean, I had a Mustang and all that, but if I was to do the Fox thing, I would definitely want it to be in a Fairmont, and probably a Fairmont wagon. I think they just make the coolest cars, man. They make the coolest hot rods. Short person, any negatives to blocking off the heat crossover besides initial starting? It doesn't affect the starting. The car is going to start normally, but it'll take a little bit longer to warm up. On see, I did that video, right? And we talked about some engines are going to respond differently than other engines depending on the configuration of the intake manifold. As a rule of thumb, anything that I build for performance, if getting any sort of power out of it is the goal, I automatically don't even think about it. I block the heat crossover. It's just just boom, just done. Okay. Now, if it's a daily driver, something I'm going to use every day, and in the winter, in the sun, it's just going to be used year round without any regard to, then I never block the heat. So it just depends on what you're looking for. If it's a performance build, absolutely block the heat and then work around it. And if it's not, leave it alone. KJ Kylie, you're porting some 3.9 Magnum heads. Got any quick pointers? Nothing specifically. I mean, you're going to do the same thing to those 3.9 heads as they are to the 5.2s or the 5.9s. It's the same head. Mostly on like all small block Mopars, the most important thing is that roof of the exhaust port. Just make sure the roof of the exhaust port is as smooth and as blended and matched to the whatever you're using, the header or the manifold. Make sure it's matched perfectly on the roof of it. The floor doesn't really matter, but the roof is the most important thing. Clean up the bowls, take down the smooth the valve guides, the bosses that are there, blend them down, all the usual stuff. But pay particular attention to the roof of the exhaust ports. Oscar Gonzalez, thank you for the super chat. What coffee making method produces the most flavorful coffee? I've seen direct pour, French press, even coffee bean grinders are fancy. I prefer perk. In fact, I'm drinking percolated coffee right now. Lots of different methods. Perk is probably the best, or at least it fits my taste. Everybody looks for a little something different in their coffee. I prefer Perk. Um, let's see. Sports Suburban, did you hear about Pete Van Idestein passing? No, I can't say I knew him. I mean, he was a fixture in the Northeast Van Idestein speed centers. We had one on Staten Island. Whenever I could afford actual new speed parts, that's where I would go. So, I never met him. I never had the pleasure of meeting him. Never heard anything bad about the guy. I shouldn't even say that. I always heard good things about him. So yeah, but no, I didn't hear about it. Let's see. Cop Car Steve, I think the 1-inch spacer and heat crossovers are giving me a vacuum leak, but there's a 1/2 inch by 2-inch slot on the intake below the carb. Geez, I don't. Not really sure what you're talking about there, Cop Car Steve. But one thing that I did forget to put in that video, and I may do a whole separate video on it, is I was talking about the if you're building a car for just a driver. Okay, we're talking about the tuning heat management thing. I said to leave it all alone. Okay, like just the factory engineered a package. The factory knew what they were doing. Okay, but I should have added in there that adding anywhere between like a 1/2 and a 1-inch spacer just to increase plenum volume is always a good idea. It will always help. It'll never hurt, but it will always help. So that's something I should have put in that video. I may do a whole thing just on spacers, just on spacers. Did I ever meet Ed Iskandarian? No, another person I never had the honor of meeting. No. And no, I never met Smokey Unick either. There's lots of people I've never met. There's more people I haven't met than ones that I have. In the comments on that last video, somebody said that he remembered meeting. I was actually honored by this because he said he remembered meeting Dick Landy, and Landy seemed to have that same enthusiasm about things like thermal distribution for making power and stuff like that. And he said I reminded him of Landy, and Landy is somebody I did know. And we collaborated on a couple of articles that I did back in the day. So, I mean, I didn't know him as a hey Dick, it's Tony. It wasn't that kind of relationship, but I did get to interact with him a couple of times, and he was a really solid guy. He was brilliant, very brilliant person. But yeah, I took that as a great compliment. Moparzov Modesto, what's happening, man? How are you? Jay Mopey, is there an affordable, reliable sonic checker for checking bore thickness at home, or is that just in the realm of machine shops? I couldn't. I don't know. Good question though. That's Google worthy, but I don't have an answer to that. Maybe somebody here does. Uncut showed. Did you ever meet Chris Lee? I may have come across him a time or two. Let's see. Did I meet Smokey and the Bandit? No. Thunderstruck. You want to see a video about spacers? Okay. I'm going to have to, because okay, so remember now, YouTube is a business, and if I just do a video on just carb spacers, it's going to have a very limited reach. So I have to expand it a little bit, and I'll I'll build a video around the concept of carb spacers, but it'll have to be a slightly broader topic, just because that's the way the YouTube algorithm works. They want to see a lot of they want to see a variety of people, a variety of profiles clicking on a video, and something very specific like just carb spacers may not get that kind of reaction, and so it doesn't get shared very well. I'm bad at matching video titles to YouTube algorithms, which is one of the reasons why we have such a hard time. Like, we get a lot of videos, you send them out there, and it's got like 14,000 views, and it's like, oh my God, what did I do? This thing should have got 90,000, but it's so there will be something having to do with spacers, plenum volume, that sort of thing. I'll work on that this week. PG-13 and Bill House Show. Tony, do you like to watch super slop competitions? No, I tell you, when I was younger, I was very pro violence. It's like, yeah, let's go, right? And as I've gotten older, no, I don't want to see. I just don't want to see it. You know, occasionally it's funny. You know what I mean? Like the perfectly placed. You know, but I don't actually want to sit there and watch a competition of people hurting each other. I've gotten very soft in my old age. And FUBAR, the amazing Radiant FUBAR, has put up a link to my merch. So you can get our shirts, our hats. I don't know what shirt I'm wearing today, but whatever shirt this is, and it's probably one of the internal combustion shirts because I have thousands of them because I way overordered of them. So we've got all of that stuff in the store ready to go. And thank you for putting that link up there, FUBAR. Let's see. Matt, how is Steve Maniante doing? I don't know. He hasn't. I haven't heard from him. I don't have. Oh, so my phone has been nuked at least twice since the time I last talked to Steve. So I don't have his number. And it's it's not like I guess I could find it. I could make some. I could ask around. Actually, no. Come to think of it, all the people I could ask, I don't have their numbers either. I have no contact with the rest of the industry. So, Steve, if you're watching this, call me. You know what I mean? If you still have my number, because I just thought about the 2 or 3 people that I could message to get Steve's number, and I don't have their numbers either. I lost Brian Lone's number. Brian, if you're watching this, I don't have your number. Text me your number. I was trying to get a hold of him also. Let's see. Just scrolling up here. Did I ever meet Wolfman Jack? No. Yubi's Garage, welcome, man, from Southern California. Rocco, I'm telling you, add some chicks for clicks. There must be plenty of influences in the Nashville area. Oh, no shortage of them. They're all over the place. Steve is rocking and rolling. Great to see. So I see he's been putting out a lot of videos. So I mean, that's a miraculous recovery from where he was to where he is now. Just absolutely amazing. But I haven't heard from him. Let's see. Chris E., any experience with old-fashioned radar info? I don't know exactly what you mean. Radar. Chris, try me again on that. Radiator. Okay. What do you need to know about old-fashioned radiators or radiators? I say it both ways. I just say it both ways. Radiator. It just depends who I'm talking to. And then you always get people coming down here. It's not pronounced that way. Well, I say it both ways. It just pops out. Wart, Warthog Thunderbolt, did you ever meet Broadway Bob? Yes, several times. I got paid by Broadway Bob. Broadway Bob put cash in my hand. Broadway Bob was awesome. The first time I ever met Broadway Bob was first time I was over at Union Grove. We got booked in with a Fuel Altered, and it was Leganis Fuel Altered, and we got up there. We were supposed to make 2 runs on Friday, right? So we got up there Thursday night, and we were gonna leave the car and then just crash, right? Leave the trailer, the truck, and just crash. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we pull in to the track, and we're expecting it to be like completely dead, but it's not. It's not. There's this giant bonfire going. There's a monster truck running over stuff, giving rides and shit. There's a band going on. This is like this in the middle of the middle of the night, right? And then Broadway Bob rolls up to us in a golf cart in his pajamas and hands us beer. I was like, welcome to Great Lakes. And yeah, Broadway Bob was a total trip. And in the trees above the track, in like Christmas lights and white Christmas lights, giant, huge, it said Broadway Bob's Great Lakes Dragway. It was awesome. Broadway Bob meeting Broadway Bob was one of the highlights of my life. He was a real character. And a wild man. Showing the person, Ray D. Ator. Let's see. There's Sideshow Bob. Let's see. Mexican Spec. You're going to try to do your live vertical tonight. See if it works. Vertical works. You'll get twice the number of views on doing vertical. When we do vertical, so when we do this way, okay, we get 3,000, between like 3,000 and 4,000 views over the course of like the first 24 hours because people watch it afterwards. When we do it vertical like that, we get 6,000 to 8,000 views during that same period of time. So absolutely go vertical if you can. We keep it this way just because people complain when we do vertical that you can't read things or whatever it is. So we just leave it like this. I'm not trying to get big numbers on the lives. Let's see. Let me scroll up here. Fun with cars. What's happening, brother man? Yes, I did a couple of Radiators videos. First one I did was one of the first few videos that we did 8 years ago, where I soldered some pennies. So I fixed a cracked tank on a radiator, and then I did one maybe 3 years ago on the different types, different configurations, different flow cores, different tank styles, and all the characteristics of them. I did that video maybe 3 years ago. It got no views, which I was surprised at because I figure everybody has something, everybody's got a radiator to one extent or another. You would think that there would be a lot of interest in that topic, but it ended up getting no views. And so I never went back. Driver misfits. Vertical, not great if you're watching on a computer or on a TV. But the thing with the lives is that most people watch the lives as a podcast and they'll do it afterwards. So they'll have it on like when they're laying in bed and they'll just listen as they're, it's scary to think right now there are people trying to fall asleep to my freaking voice, right? But they'll do it that way. on their phones, or they'll set it up while they're working on something and just listen. So that's why the vertical just tends to get more views, because it's viewed on the phone. Jeff, it's Jeff Brower. Oh my God, emailed you some pictures of a living, breathing clutch. How did you email? I don't have any email. Oh, yeah, you emailed them to Kathy Bananas. I'll have a look, but I don't want to see pictures of the clutch, Jeff. I want to see the actual clutch. I want to feel it. I want to hug it. Jimmy Luce, not true. I have 3 TVs on right now watching this. That's scary, bro. I don't want to be on three screens in your friggin' house. Most of the views from lives come after the live is done. So it's like, I'm telling you, they're doing it on their phones. They're doing it on their phones. Fun with cars. I gained 11 subscribers yesterday and 11 today via live stream. Get random people coming in and out from around the world. Congratulations. Keep going. Okay, territory. Tony, from the last question regarding which Edelbrock carb size. I don't remember the last question. Marketplace strikes again. I picked up a 500, 600, and 757. Yes, to post my 360 RV motor. Oh, excellent. The 600 and 750 are the same size primaries. Throw the 750 on there. Excuse me. Okay, you texted it to me. Thank you, Jeff. My phone is upstairs. I'll look at it when we're done here. So keep in mind this, right? An Edelbrock flows on average 50 CFM less than the equivalent Holley. So a 750 Edelbrock flows the same as approximately a 700 CFM Holley. And the primaries on the 600 and 750 are the same size. The 750 just has larger primaries, or secondaries rather. So throw the 750 on there and you'll be happy with it. That's a good question. Have we turned Jeff's large fortune into a small fortune yet? We're working on it, man. We're taking little bits out of it every chance we get. Brandon Dunce. I love that your avatar there. 750 Holley falls on its face on wide open throttle, then comes back strong. Adjusted accelerator pump arm, no changes. Any ideas? Give it more timing. You need more timing. Disconnect your vacuum advance and set your timing. Because what's happening is, I'll bet you, I would guess, based on your description there, that you're setting the timing with ported vacuum advance. It's probably a GM product, ported vacuum advance, and you're setting your timing with the vacuum advance on. And now when you step on the gas, the timing comes back. It actually retards itself. And that's when it falls on its face. Then it recovers a little bit and it'll start to pull strong again. So your problem is an ignition timing, the way you're setting your ignition timing. Let's see. Bernie Lehman. Oh, Bernie Lehman. I'm sorry, bro. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reading things tonight. Tell about high compression motors and timing. You'll have to wait for a future video. Now, I have talked about compression and combustion chamber configuration before. That is a topic I'm going to get into, but it's really too it's too intricate to talk about like on a live like this right now. But I will do a video on that. Or I should say, in the back of my mind, there has been a video about, because we were talking about fuel and fuel quality. So when you go to the next step past what we've talked about, because we've been talking about thermodynamics. And now you get into now what kind of fuel, and then how does compression ratio fit into all of this? Because higher compression ratio leads to more vaporization in the chamber. So that's like a continuation of the series that we've been talking about. So it's coming. Let's see. Joker. Does it make life any easier to break exhaust manifold bolts loose on a warm engine or cold? Aluminum head. If I'm having a hard time with a bolt like that, I'll heat the bolt cherry red. I mean, like really, really hot. Okay, heat the head of the bolt. Don't worry about the temperature of everything else, and then let it cool off. Because what happens when you heat the bolt, it loses its temper, it'll lose its grip, and it'll come right out. That's the safest way to do it. And I don't pay any attention to whether the engine is hot or cold, but heat the head of the bolt dull red, between dull and bright red. Make sure it's red, a good healthy red, and then let it cool off. Okay, and because when it's red, it's expanding and losing a bit of its temper, but it's expanding and crushing even more. Okay, and then when it cools off, you get that little gap there, right? So it's relaxed, and the bolt should come right out. Dog, is an Italian tune-up a real thing? As an Italian, I would say yes. Yes, it actually is. Much more so in the old days. So you guys, an Italian tune-up is when you take a car out and you, quote, blow the carbon out. So you just take the car out and hammer the living hell out of it for a few minutes. And yes, in the old days, especially, it worked. It would decarbon. It would break loose all of the loose carbon inside the combustion chamber, the head of the piston, and blow it at the exhaust. Nowadays, not so much. You don't get the kind of carbon because of the type of gas that we use. Because you don't have a lot of the factors that led to those engines carboning up big time back in the old days. It doesn't have that much of an effect anymore. But it did. It actually worked. It actually worked. Bro, you want me to throw him a bone, dude? Let's hear it. I'm watching for you. What do you got to say? What's your thing, man? I got the bone to throw at you. Broke Joker, Uncle Tony, can we get some UTG guitar straps and accessories added to the store? I was thinking about actually going with cannoli shells because honestly, I don't think there's enough people making cannolis these days. And I think that if we offered the shells, people would take that next step and actually make the filling. You know what I'm saying? And then, because if, I'll tell you, if everybody was eating cannolis, we wouldn't have any of the problems that we have today. Cold's Hot Rod Garage. Hey, Uncle Tony, do you know anybody selling a 318 Whiplash cam? Hughes has them. Just go to Hughes Performance or use HUGHSES or Hughes. Okay, and yeah, they've got them. You could actually make your own Whiplash cam if you want. Just pick up any grind that's around 250 at 50, 540 lift or thereabouts on like a 107 and advance it 7 degrees. Install it 7 degrees and ahead, and there you go. You made your own. Bro is saying, hey, just shaking a leg. So how's your launches lately? I haven't launched anything lately, man. It's been cold and then it's been wet. I haven't really had a chance to launch very many things, but I hope to be launching lots of stuff in the very near future. Um, Shannon got me thinking about broken bolts, reminding me of what I have to look forward to at work tomorrow. Bell housing bolts broke off on a Western Star and the rear motor mounts on bell housing. It sucks. That's why. That's why I sit here and make YouTube videos, bro. just because, right? So that's why. Oh, my once delicious coffee got cold. Oh, it's terrible. I don't like cold coffee. Oh, let's see. End of time. Have you guys seen these new fake standard EVs? Oh yeah, they make EVs that make shifting noises and stuff like that. We've talked about all of that stuff. Fake engine sounds, fake shifting. They're just ridiculous. Just more proof that this giant asteroid is like way overdue. Mexican spectrum. You don't like iced coffee? Iced coffee makes me angry, bro. Iced coffee, yeah, no, it's just iced coffee is bad. Okay, it's wrong. Let me see. Let me scroll up. Scrolling up. Katie Best, what's happening, Katie? Katie's a refugee from my coffee house days. Yes, there are times I really miss the coffee shop days. As do I. As do I. And then I come to my senses, and I'm like, oh Jesus, what the hell are we thinking? But yes, sometimes I miss it too, Katie. Joker, Tony would rather make a video about stuck bolts rather than break one loose. Bro, I've broken so many thousands of stuck bolts and welded on them and drilled them and did everything. I did all of that. There's no reason for me to have to do it anymore if I can sit here and talk about it, right? Rolling a cigarette. Fun with cars. Tony, you talked about the start, stop, delete Lauren fix, also from Buffalo, was talking about. I haven't talked about the stop, start, delete. I know that they just changed that. Okay, like whatever the law was that made them have that, they reversed it. I don't know. I've gotten to the point I don't pay. I try not to pay attention to any of this shit. Katie, where are you, Katie? You still there? Let me see a sign of life, Katie. There you are. So, Katie, do you remember 20 years ago now? Okay, because that's about about the time you came along, right? Thereabouts. Do you remember how everybody thought I was completely out of my freaking bird? Okay, where I was talking about, all of the conspiracy stuff, 9/11 and all and everybody says, oh, he's completely out of his mind, right? Katie, how right was I? Uh-oh. Kathy Bananas is back. Katie's on here.
Oh, hey, Katie.
Yeah. What are you showing me? She's come to show me something.
Okay, so Mark Survey sent this video and said to watch.
Mark Sauvé sent this video.
Super though have gone in
Have
with
the
some
copyright
clutch
infringement.
pedal and shifter aren't connected to any real hardware. You just press the clutch, grab a gear, and then the sensors talk to the computer and it generates a fake torque curve. So it feels like you're driving a manual. Apparently it can even stall out. So yeah, you're basically a toddler in one of those bouncy toys with a plastic steering wheel pretending to drive. Now some of you are going to hear me joke like this and assume that I hate the idea and yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
Nah.
But it does bring me to one of my favorite nerd facts. There's actually a word for this. It's called a skeuomorph. No matter how many times my notes app wants to underline it in red, it is a real word. A skeuomorph is when you simulate something old or outdated to make people more comfortable with something new. Think about EVs with fake grills, even though they don't need air, or an Apple Watch with an analog face.
All right, so yeah, I got to stop this now because we're probably going to get some copyright issues. But oh, I'm not worried about it. Go ahead, copyright me. Katie, I was 100% right? Yes, I know, vindicated. Oh, look at the stuff people thought was crazy about, the conspiracy things, and you know, the cannibals, and yeah. I think there are several hundred people that owe me an apology, Katie. Yes, you did experience terrible Tim. Ford CD Burlick, most of us didn't hear your conspiracy views. Don't worry about it. Just turn on just do some searching through social media, and all of my conspiracy views are right there. Everybody's talking about them now. I think they just released another 3 million pages of my conspiracy views. I mean, I was literally on this stuff 25 years ago. Hemi Head, thank you for the super chat. Would you agree Dodge did the best job of reintroducing one of the best classic muscle cars with the Challenger in comparison to what GM and Ford came up with either the Camaro or the Mustang? I thought some of the Mustangs are pretty on target, but overall, yeah. The Challenger, one of the things I liked about the Challenger was okay. The new Challenger compared to the old Challenger was puffy, oversized. It didn't have the crispness, okay? But the spirit of it was still there. The essential parts of it was still there. And you could, you look at that and you say, yes, that is a Challenger. And the thing I liked about it is that it ran for so many years unchanged. And I like that. It's like a legacy vehicle. So while I wasn't really crazy, I wasn't like, I've never been driven to buy a new Challenger. It's just not my cup of tea. I liked that they existed, and I liked that they were essentially unchanged. And then just wipe it all clean and bring out the Charger. So that Charger, they've sold 7,100. Oh, imagine that, right? So they've sold, since the release, they've only sold 7,100 of those EV Chargers. Could you imagine that now? 7,100 of them total. That's all they've sold. How many tens of thousands of these things do they have parked someplace? Because they had the assembly line running. They were expecting to sell 50, 60,000 of them, I'm sure, okay? Because there's no way that they would have introduced the car if they didn't expect to sell 50, 60,000 of them. Where are these cars? They're someplace, and what the hell are they going to do with them? It's like the greatest waste of resource probably I got to do a follow-up on it. This is actually a pretty good video, because the thing that happened with those Chargers has got to be the greatest waste of resources, materials and labor and energy and everything else, has to be the greatest single waste of materials in all of industrial history. I'm going to look into this. I want to know where all those cars are. I want to know where all those cars are. Rocco, Tony, I'm ready to be lied to again. Conspiracies are only fun if you're on the outside. You know, I'll tell you what, man, when you first find out about all of this stuff, right? When you first find out about all of this stuff, it'll knock you if you balance a little bit, because you say, no, the world can't possibly work that way. There can't possibly be people like that. The history that we're taught can't possibly be that wrong or that twisted. You know, the society we live in can't possibly be that corrupt or that evil. And so when you first learn about this stuff, it knocks you for a little bit of a loop. And then you start bringing it up to other people, because that's the first thing you do. It's like when you discover something, you go to the next person and say, did you know that blah, 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 blah? And like, yeah, sure, right. You're nuts. So it takes a little while. And I feel bad for people who are just realizing that this stuff is all true now. I honestly feel bad for them, because it's not. I don't want to talk about this shit now. I don't want to talk about this shit right now. But it's all real. Showing the person tips for degreasing and painting an axle. Axle. Oven cleaner. Hit it with oven cleaner. Right? You know, scrape off the thick stuff, hit it with oven cleaner, brush it in really good, hose it off, and then you should be able to just clean it down with some thinner acetone or whatever, just to get whatever residues left on there, and you paint it nice. Rocco is saying, I just don't have any hope that it will ever change. We're all in the same soup. We're just aggravated about it. If there was going to be any actual change, okay, it would have to be that the average person, the normie, realizes, connects all of the dots, okay, and says, hey, wait a minute. Every time I deal with, anytime I deal with a bank, I'm feeding them. I'm keeping them in business. Every time I pay a tax, I'm keeping them. I'm feeding them. I'm keeping them in business. When people realize what their money is actually going for, you know, where all of that mortgage money goes, and where all of the tax money goes, and where, you know, people finally, the masses say, you know what, you guys ain't getting another penny from me, and I'm not going to deal with your money anymore either. I'm going to start dealing in real money, gold, silver, platinum, copper, whatever. Okay, it's not going to change until that happens. When there's a mass movement in this country to say, no, we're going to starve the beast, quite literally, yeah, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. It could happen. It could. Doesn't mean it's going to. Hemihead, did I hear gold and silver dip down in price? Gold has been hovering right there in the 5,000 range, 4,900 to 5,100, like there. It's kind of building a floor. It's building a support right there. Silver still hasn't found its legs yet. I think it still has one more trip down into the 60s. As I said that in that video, the video I did on when it hit $103 an ounce, and I says I expect to run to, you know, around 120, and it did. Went to 121, and I said I expect a pullback to around 65, and it did. It pulled back to 65, and then bounced off that and went right back into the 80s. But I'm expecting one more trip down into the 60s, and it's going to have to build a little bit of a floor in the 60s. Then, and I'm telling you, before the end of this year, it's going to happen. You'll see 150, 180, possibly 200 before the end of this year. But just going by Fibonacci numbers. It has to do that. It has to, and just traditional filling of gaps. It has to build some sort of floor in the 60s. So it's still not down there yet. When it hit the 60s, bounced back up again. Now she's floating around in the mid 70s. And I want to see 65, 62 like that. And then I want to see like maybe a week of it bouncing in that range. Then you're going to start seeing it'll build for the next leg up. Dead Cougar Rush, can't we just talk about cars and such? We do. Can we just talk about cars? I don't know. I think that we are all car people, but we all live in the same world, right? Like there are other things. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Obviously, we want to talk about cars because we're car people, but we're all affected by the same things, you know. And our interest in cars and our hobby in cars and the money that we get to spend on cars, that's all in common also. You know what I mean? So no matter how you look at it, we're part of the big. There's a bigger picture to what we do. Tony B, I know people tried to sell silver, it was 120 and nobody would buy it. So if you can't sell it while it's up, what good is it? Because anybody in the market knows, anybody with any intelligence knows it's going to come down. So why would I buy your silver at 120 when I know its next step down is in the 60s? Think about it, okay? I'm not a genius, okay? I'm not some charting wizard, okay? But even I can tell at a glance, looking at the run-up, that there was going to be a crazy pullback. So why would any dealer with half a brain in his head give you 120 bucks when there's a good chance it's going to drop into the 60s before he has a chance to unload it? Duh. Think about it. Can we talk about the history of Brussels sprouts? Barry Kuda wants to know. Yeah, I mean, is it interesting? I don't know, man. I think they're dwarf cabbages, right? Is that what they are? I actually happen to like Brussels sprouts. Oliver Brown, what do you think about all the lizard people at the Olympics? What kind of cars would they drive? I think lizard people are going to be attracted more to your German exotics. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I couldn't see the lizard people really getting into like the craziness, like the Koenigseggs and all of that. But I can see them in higher end Beamers and Mercedes. They're definitely German car drivers. I mean, you think about it, okay? You know, lizard people, German cars, the suspensions. Ever see the suspension on a German car? Come on. Um, uh, Warthog Thunderbolt. I am very impressed with your market knowledge, Fibs. You're the man, Tony. I don't have a great deal of market knowledge, but I will tell you this. I spend a lot more time focusing on macroeconomics than I do cars. It just so happens that I do car YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I mean, honestly, I spend at least half of my mental time, you know, the things that I consume all have to do with global macroeconomics. Cars are kind of like my side thing. Um, Silver Train. Do you think silver will drop into the 50s or will 60 be the new base price? It's possible. It's possible. For two things, right? You got to realize first, silver is the most manipulated market on the planet, and it has been for the last 70s. Okay, silver is the most manipulated commodity on the planet. And also what you're looking at is a paper price. You're not looking at a spot price is paper. It's dealing in paper. It's not the physical price. You're going to see a point, like right now, actually, come to think of it, right now, go try to buy silver, right, at the current spot price. Nobody's selling silver at the current spot price because they know it's going up. I just went through this. There's a pawn shop not too far from between the house and the shop, right? And they keep some silver in there. And I dropped in the other day. It was 70. I was driving along, right? I stopped at the light. I checked the price, and it was down like $10, like $75. I says, "Oh shit, I'll go buy some silver." So I pulled into the pawn shop, and I walked in, and I says, "Hey, you selling at spot today?" She says, "Well, yeah, I guess, right?" And I says, "All right, so $75." And he says, "What?" He says, "Yeah, it's $75." He says, "No, we're not selling any silver today." Just like that, okay? So the physical price, and that's just a simple interaction, right? It's a street interaction. The spot price has nothing to do with the physical price, and you're going to see as we go forward, the spot price is going to have less and less of a bearing. What you want to do is don't count if you're holding silver. Do not count the money. Okay, don't say, "Oh, I have an ounce and it's worth $80," right? No, don't say that. You say, "I have an ounce." Okay, it could be worth 80 cents. It could be worth $80. It could be worth $800. It doesn't matter. You have an ounce. Start viewing your commodities that you hold, or your monetary commodities, in their weight, not in their dollar value, because there's a spread right now, and that spread is going to be huge. There will come a time when you're going to see the spot price of silver at like $300, whatever, pick a number, $600. You're going to see the spot price there. You won't be able to touch it for that price. You won't be able to find it for for double that. Trust me on this. Um, Robert Trio, JM Bullion is selling junk silvers for the spot. Right now, there's a glut of junk silver. Junk silver meaning 90%. Old nickels, dimes. I'm sorry, dimes, quarters, half dollars, silver dollars, pre-64. That's called junk silver, for you guys who don't know. There's a glut of it right now, and the refiners can't. What happens, it takes more effort, more time, more process to refine the junk silver than it does pure silver. The refineries are backed up trying to process the junk silver that they've got. And so right now, junk silver is selling for spot, and in some cases below spot. But in other times, based on other situations, it'll sell for above spot. So it just depends on which way the news winds are blowing, whether or not junk silver is going for above or below spot. But if you're finding it cheap right now, that's why, because the refineries are not taking the junk silver. Tim Miller, you're not late. Just getting started, brother. Let's see. Katie, I remember sitting for hours with you, sorting through change, looking for silver while having very similar, varied subject matter conversations. You remember that? We used to go. I used to go get the dime rolls, the quarter rolls, the $half rolls, and we'd pick out the silver. It's stuff to do when you're sitting in a coffee house at 1 o'clock in the morning and there's really no customers. You start going through change trying to find silver. Let's see. Um, I'm just scrolling. Michael, Tony, pre-64 or pre-65? 365, so 1964 and earlier. And the only exception to that would be $half until 1970 or 1971. Those are 40% silver. But your 90% what's called constitutional or junk silver is 1964 and earlier. Tim Miller, rewatched Carb Flat Spot Adjusted Extraterrestrial Pump today with 67 temp in Kansas City. You rewatched the Carb Flat Spot Adjusted. I don't know what you mean by extraterrestrial. I don't think I did many extraterrestrial carburetor videos. I probably could, but I'm not sure what you mean by that. But it was 67 in Kansas City today. Nice. It's supposed to be like in the 60s and 70s here over the next couple of days, which means I need some cycle therapy, bro. I got to get on my bikes and ride. You know what I did today? I did something that I'm officially a grown-up. I'm officially an adult now, okay? Because I just put a stock quiet exhaust on one of my bikes, right? Who has ever done that, right? I just did. One of my bikes, a drag pipe. It had drag pipes on it, right? And I was like, I need a quiet bike. I need one really quiet bike. So I went and I bought a complete stock exhaust system yesterday for $40, right? Brand new. Guy took it off brand new, took it off his bike and put on whatever he put on. Then it sat in his garage for like decades. Okay. So I got a brand new, never used exhaust system for $40. And I stuck it on my bike and I fired it up and it went, and I was like, wow, I'm an adult. I'm officially an adult now. I created a quiet motorcycle. Mark Survey, isn't a predator carb from extraterrestrial beings? Actually, predator carb was from a guy that I worked with, Dale Barlett. I ran a funny call with Dale Barlett, and that was a experience I'll never forget. Here's my relationship with this freaking nut roll. Okay, I helped him piece his car back together again after he got out of the burn unit. He was all burned up like crazy all over the place, right? They left him in the car for dead. They thought he was dead, okay? But he wasn't dead, so he cooked in the car for a long time. And then he wanted to put it back together again and go racing again. So I signed on to Team Barlett. And this guy was and he owned Predator Carburetors. He was Predator Carburetors. Where I worked on the funny car was one half of the shop, and then the other half of the shop was churning out bits and pieces for the Predator Carburetors. And that was my relationship to Predator Carburetors. And this guy was such an insufferable, just the quintessential asshole in every way, shape, and form. I ran a race up in Canada with him, and on the way back, once we got back over the border into the United States, I made him pull over, and I got out of the truck and I hitchhiked back to New York City. That's my relationship with Predator Carburetors. You had to be there. You had to be there. Thunderbird, I just put a glass pack on a Crown Vic yesterday, significantly quieter than the straight pipe. I was surprised. Glass packs are only really loud if you end them at the glass pack, but if you put a glass pack in place of a muffler, they're actually, they are pretty quiet. They have a nice mellow sound to them. But most people equate glass packs with what you hang off like header mufflers, right? That sort of thing, where it's just the glass pack. And they're pretty loud and obnoxious. But when you actually incorporate them into a whole exhaust, they have a really nice sound to them. It's a very 1960s sound. Jason Matthew, how do I convert my Petronics back to points? 66, 440, 10 to 1, 284, 494 hydraulic cam, YN single plane, headers, 870 vacuum secondary. Sounds nice. How do you convert it back to points? Literally unbolt the point. If it's a Petronics conversion, it literally bolts to the breaker plate that the points bolt to. Just unbolt it and put a set of points in there and a condenser. And you don't have to put the condenser under the cap. You can put the condenser, you can mount the condenser to the negative side of the coil and it works exactly the same. But yeah, I had to do that 2 years ago. I took my 67 Charger, which has got a 440 in it, and I had a Petronics on there because somebody gave me a Petronics and I was like, well, let's just run this thing in here, right? So I had a Petronics in it and I went to the Nashville Speedway. They had one of the stops for Power Tour. So I went there with my Charger, with the Petronics, and everything was fine going there. And then pulling out, car started to run a little weird. And then I got out onto the road and it just dropped dead. So I coasted over the side of the road. And this is pretty embarrassing because it's like, oh, okay, here's a car that people know from YouTube because I had just finished putting that car together. And then we did videos on it, you know, black 67 Charger. So I'm like, oh, geez, here I am, you know, freaking YouTuber with YouTuber car, and I'm stuck on the side of the freaking road, and all these people are rolling by on Uncle Tony. And, and it was the Petronics. The Petronics took a shit right there, pulling out of the speedway. So somebody gave me a ride to my shop, which was only about 10 miles away. I grabbed a set of points. I went back, put it all together, and drove it home like a human. So that was my last Petronics experience. Bro, Joker, I thought your 66 Charger, it's a 67 with a 66 interior. Had a 383. No, it's 440. It's actually a 440 Cathy Bananas built. Straight Ponte Solo. I'm sorry, straight eight Ponte. Oh, straight eight Pontiac. Okay, you got me. Is cherry bombs the same as glass packs? A cherry bomb is a type of glass pack muffler. So you had cherry bombs, you had thrushes, you had the purple hornies, the cyclone purple hornies, all different types of glass packs. But yes, a cherry bomb was or is a glass pack muffler. Tony, will you ever see a 74 Roadrunner? It's a 73. It's been on the channel in the past. So I've been putting off working on that car, and it's looking really sad. It's sitting here in the driveway. And I'm going to work on that car here at the house. I'm not going to bring it to the shop. I'm going to do it here at the house. And I plan on starting on it just as soon as we get some steady, drier, weather. Because I have a lot of body work to do on it. There's a lot of cutting and welding and metal fabrication that's going to have to be done on that car, and I'm going to do it here at the house. Buddy Cork Final 67 dash lights are awesome. They certainly are, but they're not even close to being functional on my car. They're not even close. The electroluminescent lighting, I have to do the whole system. The whole thing is foobarred. But yes, they are beautiful when they work. Let's see. Mopar Man, I remember the Thrush rectangular canister style glass packs. Those were the Thrush Hushes. They were actually pretty good sounding. It was a copy of the turbo muffler, wasn't it? I never had one apart or anything like that. I thought it was just Thrush's takeoff on the Corvair turbo muffler. It might have had glass in it. Rocco, don't forget the Roadrunner needs brakes. Yeah, it needs brakes. But first I want to do the body work on it. Let's see. Dama Joe, Tony, have you seen the video by Thunderhead 289? Let's see. Bernie Elman, can you rebuild points? I can't. I imagine you could plate them, I guess. No, I mean, I don't know. Not conveniently, not simply. It was much easier to just buy them. Jason Matthew, 01 Sports at 1200 won't start. Replaced coil, no spark. Is it the ignition module? Yes. Do you recommend an aftermarket one? The Dyna is okay. Dyna makes a nice replacement. It's a really easy fix on that. It's like I would try to find a good OEM one. Nothing wrong with the after. There's lots of good aftermarket ones by quality. Don't buy a white box ignition module for that thing. But 91 or 92 to 03 all take the same module, and it's just you know the points cover. Okay, you know on the side, right, with the two bolts or screws that hold it in. Take the points cover off, and it's right there. It's right there. It's a little bit of work. You're gonna have to deep in. Well, watch videos on how to do it, but it's actually a pretty simple, straightforward job. The earlier ones, because I'm just going through this right now with my 86, it has the ignition module is dead, and it has a separate ignition module. So it has the pickup that's down there under the points cover, and then it has a separate ignition module that's mounted under the seat behind the battery, and that's smoked. So I'm converting that one to points because it's an easy points conversion. But the 91 to 03 uses a self-contained module, so everything is right there in the points cover, and you just need to deep in the connector, fish the wires out, stick the new one in, and you're good to go. Let's see. Broke Joker, hey Tony, have you seen Zach Widely has a new song out? I have no idea who he is. I have no idea who he is. Hemi had, I always wondered what, if anything, resonators gained you. They don't gain you anything, but they smooth out the sound. So there's a certain type of like a deeper toned rumble that they look for, right? As far as exhaust note goes, and it's hard to get that with just the mufflers. So they add resonators to finely tune the sound. Bob V, good evening, Tony. Good evening, Bob. I recommended you change your audio, and I must say it's absolutely fantastic with amazing clarity. Thank you, brother. Well, thank you. Yeah, actually, this is Kathy Banana's handiwork. We got the mics. We've had them, but it's just sometimes you don't know where they are. But yeah, she makes sure that everything's all set up before we start doing these lives. pronounced Zach Wild. Okay. I still never heard of him. Drum Dude, what's happening? Thank you for the super chat. An old timer told me to bore cylinder walls to the size of each respective piston after miking their cast diameter. Is there any need for that with repeatable consistencies in modern piston casting? That's so overkill, bro. That's so overkill. It's usually okay on the assembly line. They'll size the piston to the bore because there are going to be slight irregularities. So you got an 8-cylinder engine and they're all bored to whatever size it is. There's going to be some that are a loose that number and a tight that number. So it's half a thousandth of an inch, a thousandth of an inch, just the normal variations that happen. Okay. So what they would do is on some engines, like, so your regular normal assembly line engines just got 8 holes, poof, fill them. And then you had ones that were assembled for high performance, ones that were assembled for marine, ones that were assembled as warranty engines. And all of those were hand built. And those are ones that they fitted the piston to the bore. So they took the extra step, took extra time to do that. Now, to bore the cylinders to the size of the piston is kind of backwards. It's the other way around. You choose the piston to the size of the bore. Is there any need to do that? No, I don't think so. I think it's an unnecessary step for the kind of thing that we build, like collectively, like, you know, just a street engine, street strip type of thing. You know, no, it's a completely unnecessary step. That's a good question though. Let's see. Best home computer internet protection. I have no idea. That's Kathy Bananas. Hemi Head likes Zach Wild. I'm out of touch, man. I'm out of touch. Thunderbird, I honed out 3,000s. I honed out 3,000s with stone hones. Took a while. The bore was fresh, but got a nasty scratch when the ring buckled. Let's see. That's interesting. Rocco is saying end of time. Ray Bestis supposedly shut down all U.S. operations on January 26th. I did not know that. Ray Bestis was making the clutch discs. Now when I was doing the Nitro thing, they were making our clutch discs. I was buying all my stuff through Nick Bonenfant, who was a Ray Bestis dealer. In fact, he had a Ray Bestis sponsorship on his car. And Ray Bestis were the ones that were making the clutch discs. And they weren't clutch discs for Nitro. They were actually clutch discs for drilling apparatus. Like when they drill wells and stuff like that, there's a clutch in there. Because if you don't have a clutch, the bit hits rock and that's it. So they put these discs in there for the clutch. And those are the ones that used in the race cars. So not that really has anything to do with the price of tea in China other than Ray Bestis. Let's see. Territory. Tony, remember the hydraulic lifter saga a few years ago? Seems to have not been a hot topic lately. Think people are just reusing the old ones and avoiding new parts? No, like people, well, okay, so the manufacturers have stepped up their quality control. They got lazy, they caught a beating for it. So they have stepped up their quality control. And also people are aware of stuff now. So they're checking the lifters for crown, they're checking the lobes for taper. They're taking proper break-in procedures because it was a big deal 3 years ago, 4 years ago. everybody was losing camshafts. And now it's like, yeah, it has tapered back. A lot of people stopped using flat tappets altogether. Wherever it's possible, they're using rollers. So there's a bunch of reasons, but it was a bump in the road. It was a really expensive, bad bump in the road for a lot of people. But it seems to have mellowed out now. Folk Joker, Tony, if you ever heard No More Tears by Ozzy, I hate that song. Then by the way, you know Zach Wild, the solo played by Zach. Okay, I absolutely despise that song. So yes, that's why I never. I guess maybe that's why I didn't realize who he was. um, Cop Car Steve, you're heading out. Awesome, brother. I'll see you on Wednesday. Now I got War Pigs, Paranoid. Yeah, lots of them. Some truly great stuff. No More Tears. I hate that freaking song. Yeah, Crazy Train is another one. I can't tune away from it fast enough. Thunderstorm. Tony likes aggressive music. Yeah, I like aggressive music and screechy females. And screechy, aggressive females, yes, that's the brass ring. Let's see. Um, I'm Robert Schreier. Tony, my buddy, when he worked as an automotive machinist back in the 90s, they used to bore each cylinder per each piston diameter, and this was just for normal engine rebuilds. I believe that that's a step too far. In my mind, okay, the piston is the disposable part. The block is not. So why would you alter the block to fit the piston? You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you're using straight out of the box pistons, so let's say you buy a set of Silverlights, okay, they're all gonna be a little, you know what I mean? If you're building a race engine, a precision engine, then you would order the pistons specifically to the bore size that you have. I mean, I know people do this, but it's an overkill thing. I would not bother with it. It's not the kind of thing I would bother with for or be concerned with for a normal engine rebuild. Hemi Head, I like Twisted Sister. Nah. Curtis Walker, did you reach out to Radar and Orange Crate team for parts for the rail? No, I didn't. Jeff has been in charge of parts acquisition, so I haven't contacted anybody. I'm here to answer any questions that they may have, you know, regarding what we need. But no, I haven't reached out to anybody. That's Jeff doing all of that. Ego Death, please. All the music and film stars are cast for their roles. Don't let everybody know that. Mexican spec is saying the rings are there, so it doesn't matter if the piston is off 1,000. Well, the piston and wall clearance is what you're concerned with, not the rings or the ring gap, but it's piston and wall clearance is what you're concerned with. And my thought on that, and my thought on excessive piston or wall clearance. So if you're really concerned about an extra 2/1000 of an inch piston or wall, and you're going to be boring the engine to make up for this, right? The oil film. There's an oil film that's in there. Is a hydraulic film that's going to fill the gap between the skirt and the cylinder wall. It's production engines go through such a huge range of temperatures and pressures, expansion, contraction, all sorts of contortions that you can build them sloppy. They become sloppy on their own. Everything wants to will find its own way. Yeah. Just some things I believe are overkill for production, for regular use, for regular daily driver use. Hemi, they're asking you, Tony, what was disco like? Well, that was bad, man. Being an Italian from New York City at the time that like Saturday Night Fever and all that came out, man, it was pretty brutal. That was bad. Yeah, I avoided it like the plague. It wasn't easy though. It wasn't easy. PC Doodle, do you like anything air cooled? I only have air cooled motorcycles. I mean, I refuse liquid cooling on any motorcycle. So yes, I love air cooled. Oh, Katie, you're checking out? Good night, sweetheart. The dude, does Tony like movie cars? I remember watching his Project X opinion on making a battery. Yeah, no, I'm not a movie car fan. I'm not like one of those people that geek out over like, oh, this was in, you pick a movie, Vanishing Point or Dirty. I don't care. I don't care. And I don't care that Project X was in whatever movie it was in. I remember it was in a movie. I can't remember right now what the name of the movie was. I don't care about stuff like that. What I cared about was the fact that they took something that was iconic. You know what I mean? That they represented something to people, and they gutted it and made it EV. That was, and actually, to be perfectly honest with you, the step before that, because before they made it an EV, they turned it into some sort of pro touring thing, which again was out of the spirit of the car. So that's what I was upset about. It had nothing to do with it being a movie car or not. It's like the car represented, while I don't care if it was in a movie or not, millions of people do. So I'm advocating from that perspective. Tim Miller, how far piston to wall gap would you reborn an oversized? Got 351 with 5 the taper top. So you've got a 5/1000 of an inch taper at the top. Like in other words, like you get the ridge and you're measuring under the ridge is 5/1000 of an inch. But what is it beneath that? Or are you saying that your cylinder bore is tapered from the top, from the very top to the bottom, 5/1000 of an inch? Because if that's the case, that's way too much. You can't have that much taper. Taper is a bad thing. And I've done videos on all of this. But I'm not really sure what you're asking, Tim. I like the way, yeah, I love that. I love that. Yes, that's right, Thunderstorm. Pro Touring is like a gender fluid car. Yes, yes, I agree. It's a car with pronouns. Uh, Otto Frogman saw a de-stroked small block Chevy in a magazine years ago to turn 8,000 RPM, allegedly. Did you ever do anything like that? I've never built an 8,000 RPM small block Chevy. I've seen them. I'm familiar with them. I've never built one. And 8,000 RPM seems like a lot, but you got to remember, if you go back to like the modified production days of like the late 70s, the early 80s, you were talking small block Chevys, like 280, 290 cubic inch small block Chevys that were going 11,000 RPM to the lights, 11.5. So, and those had 2 runs on a set of valve springs. Thunderbird, sorry for repeating myself, but KB pistons allow 4 thousandths wall clearance variation. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's the perfectionist way of building an engine, and I don't disagree with the perfectionist way of building an engine, but that's not real world. That's not realistic. Real world is going to have some pretty big variations. And like you're saying, the KB allows for a 4 thousandths of an inch variation. So in other words, you're good to 002 to 00 what? 6. Okay? Right? Is that right? 8. Between 2 and 8 thousandths. Would that be right? Or between 2 and 10 thousandths. There's a very, I don't know, I'm not a calculator. But yeah, I'm basically sloppy. There's a lot of give there. There's a lot of leeway. UB's Garage modified eliminators when we ran back to the stands to watch the cars. Yes, sir. 277-inch small block Chevys turning over 10 grand. Yep. And those 12,000 RPM launches. Please shift in second gear at the tree with the wheels up. Oh, that was the greatest show. But yeah, nope. They killed it because that's the NHRA. The NHRA just crushes anything that's cool. Charles C. Tony, Mopar action. 64 Coronet 440 race Hemi. What do you know about that car? There's no such thing as a 64 Coronet. They started the Coronet line started in 1865. So you're talking about just a race Hemi with just Dodge. I don't know anything about it, Charles, off the top of my head. Let's see. I'm just scrolling back up here. Tim Miller, too much taper will flex rings. Yes. Well, what happens is the ring doesn't have a chance. So picture, let's go extreme. Okay. So here's Here's a perfect cylinder, okay? And here's one that's tapered, right? So in the perfect cylinder, the ring takes a set, and that's it. It's going to go up and down, and it's going to ride evenly. Now, when you have the taper, okay, at the top, the piston expands. At the bottom, it contracts. But now bring the RPM up, and now while the ring is contracted at the bottom, it doesn't have time to expand as it goes up. So now what happens is the ring ends up riding on a film of oil. And that oil gets pushed up in the combustion chamber and starts to burn oil. You lose compression. There's going to be no compression there. And so that's the problem with taper. The ring will get to the bottom of the bore or wherever the taper happens to be. The ring gets set in, but this thing is moving so fast up and down that the ring doesn't have time to follow the contour of the cylinder wall. That's where taper becomes a problem. Thunderbird, I view online information mostly as a way to fire my neurons, but then you got to get out in the garage and figure it out yourself. When I go looking online for information, I look for consensus. You know, if I'm trying to find the answer to a question, whatever it happens to be, I look for a consensus. So I'll go to one site, one forum, whatever, and follow a thread on that topic. Look for the consensus. Then go to another forum entirely, like with a different group of people, and look for the consensus on that topic there. Then compare them to the situation that I'm dealing with. And somewhere in there, you'll find the answer. You can find really good information on the internet. So you could take something that a guy like me says, okay, and I'm going to give you my opinion on it because this is how I see things. Then you can go to someplace like Powell Machine, let's say, and ask the same question on one of his lives, right? And you're going to get a completely different answer because he sees things a different way. And then you're going to go to Brian Salter's channel and ask him, and he may see things yet another way. And you compare. You say, well, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. This guy seems to know what he's talking about. This guy seems to know what he's talking about. But they all have a different opinion. Which one of these opinions best fits my use? You see what I'm saying? And then you go with that. It takes research and discernment. But if your research consists of just quick doing an AI search on a topic and getting the answer from there, okay, well, that's going to be it, then you're wasting your time. Research is still research, whether you're doing it through books or you're doing it on the internet or research. It takes some thought. GK man, UTG, old school routing for idiots. Good stuff I never think of. Yeah, but honestly, that's what I do. I do old school. I'm an old school person, and I've always found the way around obstacles. So my thing is, what can you get away with? What's too much, and what can you get away with? And I focus on what you can get away with. But I don't do it just willy nilly. It's like the way I had a kid screw up a pizza order. With more than just pizza order, I was supplying food for an event. Okay, and I went to pick up the food yesterday, and it wasn't ready. And they had made a mistake on the receipt, thinking that it was for today, when it was actually yesterday. And this kid was like very upset about it. The old man was upset about it. Everybody was upset about it. And I was like, all right, don't worry about it. And they fixed it. They made it right. And then they got me out the door with what I needed. But the kid was like, I really, I feel so terrible about this. And I was like, bro, I'm very old, right? And I'm very good at everything that I do. Do you know how I got good at, doing what I do? He says, no, what? I says, by screwing up everything you could possibly screw up, every way that you could screw it up. That's what makes you good. Now just take it as a learning experience and move on. And that's the way it is. So everything I talk about on this channel is things that I learned through trial and error, and there was a lot of error, and so I know what you can get away with, and I know what you can't get away with. I'm scrolling back here. LA Beast. Yes, LA Beast sees it his own way. What a great freaking channel, man. I don't wear other people's merch. I don't like, but I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. The LA Beast is amazing, man. Amazing. He's what made YouTube great. Okay. And he's still doing it the same way, right? 15 years later, he's still doing it the same way. Guy's amazing. Guy, absolutely amazing. If you guys haven't checked out the LA Beast, do it. Do it. I watch at least 1 or 2 of his videos every night before I go to sleep. And half the time I'm just falling out halfway through. The guy's he's a riot. Zach's Mopar mashed potatoes. I'm looking for a marine distributor for a reverse rotation 440. Any help with suggestions? I appreciate it. Oh yeah, you don't need a. I don't think you don't need a whole. Wait a minute. Use a. Make your own. Make your own. Use the base. Wait, the shaft. You want a small block Mopar distributor. Okay, you want a small block Mopar distributor with the bottom shaft installed from the 440. Is that right? Wait. Okay. The housing. Okay. You want the breaker plate and the advanced weights from a small block. If you were to combine a big block and a small block distributor, those two, you can make a reverse rotation distributor. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly the configuration of it, but it can be done. Just marry a small block distributor to a big block housing and shaft, and it'll work. Joker, is this different from Mr. Beast? Oh yeah, two totally different things. Just search LA Beast. Rocco, I'd like to see you eat a carb cheater a la LA Beast. I don't think I can do that, man. Let's see, I'm just scrolling back up here. Seeing if I missed anything particularly interesting. Anyway, I'll pass on that Marilyn Monroe thing. Oscar, has this LA Beast person eaten a whole raw onion? Yes. Yeah, a couple of them. Territory, as a final topic for the night, will the golden toilet have the bowl full of chocolate kisses or roses? Well, I mean, yeah, I think Dr. Art would like some roses, but he's not going to win it. So I'm going to go with the chocolate kisses. Robert Shue, yeah, LA Beast is the guy you had on your t-shirt in the last video. Yes. Have a good day. That's how he starts all of his videos. Ego Death, please. I eat raw onions, great for circulation. I love onions. I'm not crazy about raw onions. I like grilled onions and stuff. Hey man, thank you for the super chat. Love all your recent thermodynamic videos. Can be a very difficult field of science to wrap one's head around. The basic of it is pretty simple, but the variations, the range of variations is, you know what I mean? I kept making that video over and over again, right? Because you start to run off into all these different tangents where you say, okay, well, this happens with gasoline, but the old gas acts a little bit different than the new gas, which is going to have a higher ethanol content, which is going to be more related to like an alcohol burning. Then you get into E85, and then you get into methanol, and you start comparing that to the opposite of diesel. And it's like it just goes off into all of these crazy freaking tangents. And I kept making that video over and over and over again. I was like, no, this is terrible. I got to just simplify. I got to cut it all out, right? So that's what I did. There's a lot to it, but if you're only looking at just the thing that you're building, right? Like, your particular use, then it's pretty easy to determine what's going to be best as long as you know the fundamentals of it. And that's what I tried to get through on that video, the fundamentals of it all. Maybe UTG can eat dog treats. I could if listen, if I feed it my dog, I'll eat it myself. Not that I really want to, but I would. Did you watch the one? No, Thunderbird. Did you watch the one where the LA Beast drinks a jug of olive oil? No, I didn't see that one. Some of them are just so totally over the top. Dickie Farley, you're going out to walk the dog. Give him a pet for me. Scratch behind the ears, and yeah, we'll see you later, brother. Side Rider, you like the video on the big black darts and barracudas versus Grand Spalding? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I did that video a while ago. Oh, wow. We're getting up on 2 hours now. When is the new puppy coming? The 28th. The 28th. All right, so I'm just gonna just grab 1 or 2 more, and then we're gonna wrap it up for the night. Another awesome Sunday night hanging out with you guys. And I really do like hanging out with you guys, honestly. I look forward to the Sunday nights. Pepin Tito. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name, brother. Pepin Tito. I got a 73 Suburban I use for hunting and want to use for road trips. Should I stick with my Quadrajet carburetor or switch it out? I was just watching your video on the carb. No, the Quadrajet's an awesome carburetor. Make sure you get a good insulating spacer between the carburetor, especially doing road trips and you're burning, regular, 10% ethanol pump gas. Make sure you got a good thermal gasket between the carburetor and the intake manifold. The spacer definitely helps. But yeah, absolutely. The Quadrajet is probably the best carburetor to use for that particular application. In fact, I don't think I would even consider a different carburetor for that. Fubar, thank you for putting up the link to my merch. Yes, the shirts, the hats, the stickers, and other things that Kathy Banana sticks in the store are all currently available at UncleTony'sGarage.com. Thank you for putting up the link, Fubar. What the hell are you guys talking about? She died in an Olds or Buick, which rear-ended a semi-trailer. The low-hanging bumper bar on the backs of the trailers came out of that was called a Mansfield. Oh, we're talking about Jane Mansfield. Oh, yeah, she was decapitated. Head to clean off. It was what the hell kind of car was that? It was an Oldsmobile. Yes, I'm calling it a night. So everybody who contributed with Super Chat, thank you so much. It's never expected, but always appreciated. Helps keep the wheels running here. Everybody contributed your presence and your conversation. Thank you equally. Our amazing mods that keep everything on track, keep the traffic moving and stuff. Mexican Spec, Zero, Fubar. Guys, thank you so much. I can't think of anything off the top of my head I want to talk about right now because I can't think of anything. I got to hit the bathroom. Coffee and orange juice, you only rent them for so long. So on that note, I am pulling a plug on this, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday night with Dr. Art for Tech Talk Live. And yeah, if you can, if it's not too much of a trouble, hit the like button on the way out. It's appreciated. Or even a dislike button, I don't care. Just some sort of interaction because it shows YouTube that you guys are engaging with us, and that's it. And thank you for hanging out, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Good night, all.